Thank you for joining me. The Introit for Sunday, June 27th, is from Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. The Lord will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. Now, this introit drops us into an unknown situation. What we do know is there is a problem, and the psalmist is wondering where help will come from. Now, have you ever been in a situation where you don't quite know where if you're going to get any help? I know that sometimes we can face seemingly hopeless situations, and in those moments, we wonder if we can overcome. The image we get in this psalm is that the psalmist will lift his eyes. Interesting, the image that we are given. Today, when we drive, we're taught to keep our eyes on the road. And when I was learning how to drive, I remember that the more I focused on the horizon, the better I was at keeping the car in the lane. And when I looked immediately in front of the car, I had a harder time keeping the car in its lane. Now today we face a little different of an issue, that issue being people who are looking down at their phones when they're driving instead of keeping their eyes up and looking at what is in front of them. That can be quite dangerous. The best and the safest way to drive is to be alert and attentive to what is in front of you. And there's a similar image here in the psalm. If you've ever done any hiking, you quickly discover that in order to get anywhere safely, you spend a lot of time looking down. You look down at where you are stepping because the trail is uneven, full of rocks and tree roots. And if you don't spend time looking down, you might misstep and hurt yourself. The psalmist presents a scenario that he is in need of help. And he is so in need of help that he stops in his tracks and takes a moment to look up. Now, sometimes in our troubles, we try to power through. We think we can get out of the trouble. Sometimes we might even convince ourselves that all we have to do is get through the tough part, and then we will be in better shape. But that is not always the case. Sometimes it takes us realizing that no matter what we do, we cannot be the help we need. And that is the point of this psalm. It is God who provides help. From where does my help come? It comes from the Lord. We can look to other things for help and relief. If I just had a better career, that would help me. If I lived in a better town or in a better house, that would help me feel better. If I just had money, that would help me be happy. There's a lot out there that promises to help us through the problems. But when we focus on those things, we are like the hiker who only looks down, relying on their own decisions and strength to get them where they think they need to go. Sometimes we have to stop and look up in order to see the greatness of God. The help that God gives is unlike any help we can get. As is pointed out here in this intro, the help that comes from God comes from the one who created all things, which means there is no limit to his power. The help that God gives is help that will protect us. And that protection is from the real problems we face, the problem of sin and death. When we seek God and his help, he gives it, and he gives it in abundance. Sometimes all we need to do is look up Thank you for joining me.